Hello all you miniature loving cosmonauts, as always I am Cosmic, and today we're going to be taking a preview look at Might and Magic Showdown, which is a new tactical PvP arena combat experience brought to you by Ubisoft, currently in early access. At its core, Might and Magic Showdown is a game that's surrounded by miniatures, and you have your own collection of miniatures and you pit them against other players in tactical real-time battles. Now, the game has two main parts to it, and it's almost split into two separate games. First, you have a free component that is separate from the paid game, which is the Paint Workshop, which essentially you're allowed to play for free, and you can go into the Paint Workshop, you can collect miniatures, and you can paint those miniatures. Now, first I wanted to say this. I used to be a miniature collector. I used to paint Warhammer 40k miniatures and all the miniatures I can get my hands on, and it's an expensive hobby and a very time-consuming one. And I have to say that I was really impressed with the paint editor in Might and Magic Showdown. It is very extensive, it is very detailed, there's tons of colours, different types of metallic finishes, there's just a wide range of things that you can do with this paint editor, and you can really customize your miniatures to pretty much down to the last detail of how you want them. And it's as extensive as you want it to be. And I really was impressed with the customization options available. And I like the fact that they offer it for free. So if you're not interested in the PvP tactical real-time experience, and you're not impressed, you're not impressed by the $20 price tag, then you can go and just paint miniatures to your heart's content completely for free, at least in terms of accessing the actual paint editor for free. If you want a lot of the miniatures, then you will have to earn the in-game currency to be able to purchase them. Now, the core game is $20 currently on early access, and the way this works is you have a single player campaign and you have multiplayer, where ultimately the longevity and replayability come from. So the way combat works is that you have one hero miniature and then you have minion miniatures, which essentially are AI controlled, but you set what combos, what moves, and ultimately their behavior in battle what is going to be, and you do that before and after any given battle. Your hero is directly controlled, and you have abilities that you can learn as you level up your hero, as well as various character progression things. It's not particularly in depth, it's fairly straightforward in fact for each hero, and then you unlock several abilities. You unlock more abilities than you can actually take into battle, so it is up to you about how you want to play your character and which abilities and ultimately which combinations that you want to put in. Battles themselves take place in real time, and it's a real-time tactical battle in the sense that as you go along you have to really focus on which characters and which minions you want to take down. So for example, if the enemy hero is a healer, you probably want to start with the hero character, or if the enemy has a healer as a minion and maybe a tank that's going to draw away your characters, you probably want to try and focus on the healer or take the tank down quickly so that you can focus on the support characters. And it all sounds well and lovely and good and swell and all that lovely nice butterflies, rainbows and pink daisies. However, it's not, and it is not in the most literal and horrible way possible, because there's so many problems with this game, not due to the fact that it's in early access, not due to the fact that it's not finished, but due to the fact that the core gameplay design is fundamentally bad in this game. So first, let's talk about the single player campaign. The single player campaign is basically a little bit of a lie, because what it is currently is 19 missions that are all tutorials, and all it does is explain each mission a different mechanic of battle. So it goes from basic movement to combat to synergy attacks with your minions so that you can combo up with your minions, and it's essentially a campaign that explains the base mechanics. There's no real story behind it, there's no kind of reason to do it. It is simply a tutorial and a really easy way to get the in-game currency so you can unlock more minions. That it is, and that's it. It's boring, there's nothing to it other than that, and you can get it done pretty much in around 1 to 2 hours, maybe a little bit more if you're struggling on a couple of the missions. Next is the combat. The combat is not only tedious and boring, which it is because you only directly control your hero unit, you only have a set number of abilities, and you get to the point where you're doing the same thing on the same map over and over again, and that's really tedious and really boring, and combat is really slow paced as well, so it just dredges on. On top of that, not only is it boring and tedious, but it's outright broken, because you have an overall meta where there's basically one hero and there's an optimum way to set your team and which miniatures to use, and when you go up against someone who has that optimum team, you're just going to get destroyed either way. So that is a major issue right there. The PvP itself is really uninspired. There's no fun to be had with it. It's just monotonous. You're just grinding for currency to get new miniatures. There's no real nice animations within the combat itself. It feels too small a scale. And if I was going to play a miniatures game, you know, especially considering that this is what this game is. This is a miniatures game. This isn't just a tactics, real-time tactics game. This is a game about miniatures. The core focus of the game is around miniatures. And you put it with a real-time tactics combat system that is boring to all hell. Why haven't you put in a really nice turn-based strategy game that is really nice in its scope, in its large maps, multiple enemies? You know, with the multiplayer, let's have multiple opponents. It's perfect for that genre, but you've put in something that is just really, really outright tedious. And it's certainly a game at its current state that, yes, it's nice to paint miniatures, and that's probably the only fun to be had in the game, realistically. But the PvP itself and the core gameplay experience in terms of the gameplay, what makes this game an actual game, is so boring. It is so frustrating that it becomes to the point where you just don't want to play it anymore, because there's no reason to go back. It's not interesting. It doesn't keep you engaged. And every bit of potential that this game could have had, given that it's a miniature focused game, it's might and magic, has been thrown completely out of the window. Overall, it's a very disappointing experience from multiple aspects. There's no story in a might and magic game, for one. This is a might and magic game, and you have zero story, really. On top of that, you have a great concept of a game about miniatures, but you really do not use that potential whatsoever. You've put in a core combat experience and a core gameplay experience that just ruins the entirety of the premise of a miniatures game, with really small maps, boring, monotonous combat. It's clunky, outright clunky and problematic. It has a terrible meta, it's completely unbalanced, and you have just wasted the potential of this project thus far. And I certainly would not recommend it to anybody. I would recommend the free paint editor, because that is fun and it is nice to paint miniatures, and the customization options available are really nice. But the core the core gameplay experience, the actual game that's there, I would not recommend to anyone. And I think $20 is not only ridiculous, but it's outright daylight robbery, because there's no way that this game in its current state is worth $20. There's just no way. And you have a fantastic IP with the fantastic premise of a miniatures based game, and you've executed it so poorly in almost every aspect of this game that it's just completely wasted potential. And that is my preview of Might and Magic Showdown. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are on the game in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, and maybe share to social media. Something like Reddit or Facebook would be fantastic. And as always, I will see you next time.